All right. So with that, welcome all to the September Lead Dems meeting. I'm excited to have you all here. We've got a great meeting lined up today. I'm excited that we have so many of our awesome candidates or their support staff on the meeting today. So what I would love to do is, if each of our support team or candidates could introduce themselves, introduce their candidate or themselves, and then just kind of give us a rundown of maybe some main points of issues that we want to get that message out. Also, how the Lead Dems can help. Give us your wish list, and what I will do, along with our awesome kind of Lead Dems executive team, is to help in the next 2 meetings that we've got. In the next 49 days, to actually make sure, if you have postcards, if you want people called, we'll be the ones to kind of help facilitate that. And probably partner. And so, if Jeff and I are making calls, obviously we want to make sure we're mentioning all the way down the ticket, making sure even both Marks are mentioned, and Dan, and all of that. So just give us your wish list and we'll kind of go from there. And if it's okay, we'll ask questions along the way. So I guess, Kayla, you'll be our first up, representing Dan. So give us a little update of your campaign and your wish list.
Hi, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Kayla, and I'm Dan's political director for his campaign. So really exciting. This past week, we made it through the primary, and we've been pretty busy. Yes, very exciting. We have done a lot around, uniting with the Democratic Party, making sure that we're coordinating effectively, and working with Councilor Andrew Belinsky and his team to make sure that we are a united front as well. And so today we actually announced that we've adopted Councilor Belinsky's cannabis legalization plan, and I'm sure that there are other issues that we'll be working with him closely on as well. And so yesterday we were endorsed by NEA and SEIU. Yesterday we met with some bus drivers out in Belmont just to talk about some of the school reopening and that from their perspective, which was really great, and how that's all going. Tonight, actually, Dan is on a call right now with some parents from across New Hampshire. I think parents representing about 6 different counties out of the 10 that we have in New Hampshire, just to talk about what school reopening looks like in different districts across the state. Some parents who are opting to keep their children out of school for one reason or another due to safety, that sort of thing. And then let's see. We have a couple of exciting endorsements that are going to come later this week that I won't say, but you can keep your eye out. And then we are also, the political department, myself and our deputy political director, Jason, working on getting thousands of signs, yard signs out across the state this week. We have coordinated with the other campaigns to identify yard sign hubs, and so we're delivering like in bulk across the state. So if anyone needs a sign.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes, please.
I'm that hub.
Okay, great.
I was delivered over the weekend 25 signs.
Okay.
So if anyone in Lee, okay, not at the moment, I'll let you know. But if anybody in Lee wants a sign, I can drop it off at your house. Just let me know, email me, and we can go from there. So sorry to interrupt, Caleb, but just so everyone knows, I'm the hub for Lee.
Thank you so much. Yes. And so getting yard signs out, now that we are a part of the coordinated campaign, which is very exciting, we are coordinating our volunteer efforts as well. So we did 50 day out visibility yesterday. Team Feltis our staff was in Manchester, but we had signs up across the state, which was great. And then we are also coordinated in phone banking with the Organized New Hampshire team, the organizers in the New Hampshire Democratic Party. So, Dan is hopping on phone banks to kick them off, to kind of introduce himself to folks who he may not have been able to talk to before the primary and that sort of thing. So I think that's kind of where we are at right now. I'd like to drop my email address in the chat just in case anyone has questions or, you have questions about how to get involved or anything like that. So I will do that now.
Hannah, while you're doing that, do you think you could say maybe some specific things that you'd want to see from the Lead Dems or just volunteers in general? Like, what does Dan need help in?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing is we are delivering signs across the state to these hubs, but there is a pretty good backlog of people who requested signs who don't have them yet. And so yard sign delivery is one of the big things that we're not so much working with the coordinated campaign on because they're handling phone banking and that. So I think yard sign delivery is one of them. Another thing is that we are getting a lot of requests to take part in like car parades and that sort of thing. And while Dan isn't always able to, or a staff member isn't always able to, we would like to be able to send people to these different parades with decorated cars to participate and just, have visibility. Also, and so that's like not super Lee specific, but I do have some of those events coming up that if the Lead Democrats would like to be a part of them, I would love to share with everyone. And I can send you the specific details, Amanda, if that works. And then also, another thing is letters to the editor. We were doing a pretty big letter to the editor program before the primary, and now obviously we're all focused on getting Democrats in up and down the ticket, and so letters to the editor are another thing. We can, if you have a topic that you want to write about, we can help you get talking points or drafts. If you want to write it all on your own, that's great too. So those are some of the ways that would be most helpful right now.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much for the update. Does anybody have any questions for Kayla or for the Dan Feltis' campaign?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah, just I have had some people on my Facebook page and stuff ask questions about Dan, and I've tried to, answer those questions the best I can. But
yeah.
Do you have some easy places to grab, some information that we can share on social media?
Yes. So I just heard my dog be naughty in the background. Yes. So I think that the best places to pull information and like specific tidbits would be our issues page on our website, but even more our Medium page. I'm going to drop the links for both of those in here as well. So like on our issues page, we have a lot of specific like legislation that Dan has worked on, been a sponsor on, based on different issues. And there's a lot of information there. If you can like name one of the 86 vetoes that Sununu has done in the past 2 years, chances are Dan has worked on one of those bills or been a prime sponsor. So I think, there's just a really clear message of if there's an issue that you care about, chances are Dan has worked on it and wants to work on it moving forward. And so the best place for that is our issues page. And then we have like some detailed policy plans on our Medium page as well. So I will drop those both in the chat so that you can easily access them. But I also would encourage people to follow us on Facebook, because we post a lot every day, with more of like the up-to-date, what we're doing today, that sort of thing, that sort of stuff. And it'll obviously also be the most up-to-date with like new endorsements or new policy plans and all of that. Thank you, Katrina. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you both. Any other questions for the Dance Health Business team? No, awesome. Well, obviously you know how to get a hold of them. Make sure you copy down Kayla's email address, and definitely follow that social media. And then if you have any other, obviously, questions, I know how to get a hold of Kayla, so feel free to reach out to me if you need anything else. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, feel free to jump off if you want, but you can always stay on and learn what the other campaigns are doing, and maybe we can partner. Dan and other campaigns can partner. Next up, we've got Mark McKenzie, who's running for executive council. And then, so same thing, Mark, if you want to share a little bit about your, top issues, why you're running for executive council maybe, and then I guess your wish list for WeDems and how we can help you.
Sure. Well, as I have said before, I was, late coming into this thing. The woman who had decided to run was not able to at the end. So we have, we worked hard to get through the primary, and we were able to do that. And now we're ramping up as we move forward. The cornerstone of this campaign is really the cornerstone of all the work that I've done over the course of the years. I have been an advocate for working families for nearly 40 years. As I've said, I've testified a number of times in the legislature, wrote all kinds of legislation that currently are on the books on the law books now as it relates to workers and workers' rights. So in addition to that, I've really led the progressive movement and was the founder of many organizations in the state, and been part of the boards and commissions of most of those people over the course of the years. So this is a kind of an unexpected thing for me, but I'm really excited about the opportunity to jump back into this field, into the policy field, and what I hope I offer to people that are looking at the executive council race is that my view of how government works really is that government is there to serve the people. And it's really an instrument to make people's lives better. It is not like a lot of our Republican colleagues will say, the enemy. It is really an instrument to solve problems and make people's lives better. And I've always approached the work that way, and will continue to do that. Now, the challenge that we have right now is to ramp up this campaign. Many of my colleagues that are running to the executive council have been at this about a year. So we have two big challenges ahead of us. The first is to raise money. Because all of this, unfortunately, in politics is about money initially. So we are doing the best that we can to use social media and to use the contacts that I have developed over the course of the years to raise the kind of money that we're going to need. And then to build out the organization over the next really couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, as the money begins to come in to build the organization out. And so that we have the kind of visibility that we need. Now, the cornerstone is going to be a lot of social media. It's going to be a lot of signage, and these are two areas where I could use your help. Certainly in the signage, we want to get out about 600 signs over the next few weeks. We've got a couple of hundred of them up now. They're being printed. The next round is being printed. We've got to get these signs out. It is the best. One of the best ways for people to get to know you. The other thing is that as we ramp up the social media, any opportunities that we would have to share that information and to move it out beyond our campaign, I think would be, would be really helpful during the course of this. And then finally, building out this volunteer base. When you look at the phone calls that need to be made and the contacts that need to be made, really the town committees are critical to my campaign and many others, in that we really need that infrastructure to be able to deliver to the message to the voters and to motivate people and make sure they go forward. Now we are, I have been with Dan Feltus from the very beginning. I endorsed him early on in the thing, so I'm looking forward to working with him. I have some imprint, I have some footprint in in the state, having done this work for a long period of time. I think that I have the opportunity to connect with people in places that maybe other candidates that would have started late may not have. So I think that has been good. I have locked down a number of endorsements right now from a whole list of people, number of unions totaling probably 30 or 40,000 members from all over the state of New Hampshire, from all of the trades and all the disciplines out there. So that is a major piece of the campaign. I was endorsed today by Planned Parenthood, and I am excited about that, and also the idea that they're going to bring energy and resources to this campaign, and I was proud to be endorsed by them. So I think that we have positioned ourselves, pretty well, and it's a matter of raising the money and then expanding the campaign. And if I had a year, I've worked on a lot of campaigns. If I had a year, I would have much rather have a year, but we don't. We got to deal with the hand that was dealt to us. And so I think we can win this thing. My contrasting that and Ted Gatz is a very different person. I come from a very different place. My work history and how I have engaged the community and participated in the community is very different than Ted. A lot of people don't know, but Ted Gatz was the mayor of Manchester for a long time. He has a history in Manchester. He's got some interesting hobbies. Owns racehorses and races in Churchill Downs and places like that. I think that's where he is. So he's he's different than I am. He comes from a different place. My campaign is about workers, working people, and working class issues, and making sure that we can move that through the executive council. So that's what I need. I need to build an infrastructure quickly, and I need your help in doing that. What I promise to you is the same I've done for every organization I've ever worked for. I'll show up. I'll be there. I won't back down if we're fighting for all the right things. And I have a history of fighting and fighting hard for the things that are important to the people that I represent. So that's where we're at, and I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun to be an executive council, and I think we can do some really good work.
Totally agree. Any questions for Mark? Mark, do you have yard signs?
No, we have plenty, and you'll be getting some. Yeah, I have yard.
I was gonna say, if you want to have someone swing by and give me a stack, we can get them out.
Anybody that wants yard signs, we've got yard signs, and we're getting them out. And interestingly enough, people are taking them down. So we found a bunch of them at the dump the other day, so which is interesting, but it's all part of campaigning. But yes, we have them, and we'll get them to you. And they're really going to be important for the campaign to get them out there.
Do you maybe want to drop your contact info in the chat so people know how to get a hold of you as well?
I'll be happy to do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda,
All right.
I have a general question on yard signs.
Sure.
Since Lee
Yeah.
is only allowed, you're only allowed one sign in your yard. What's our strategy? Can I just go up to Market Basket and put a sign in Market Basket? How does that work?
Market Basket is private property, so no, unless you happen to have some connections there. But if you do, you can do the traffic circle. You can do anything on 125. You can do anything on Route 4. Stick to the actual roads, the public roads, and so you'll see a bunch like where 125 and 152 and 155. You'll just see stacks of them. DOT has just gone through and mowed. They're going to probably do it again mid-October. I know where to go get them when DOT picks them up. So I frequently go and fill my trunk and give it back to the campaigns. So I like to wait until mid-October to get out signs. So yes, you could also on your property, it's kind of a workaround. You have 6 feet of a sign you could make. So if you wanted to take a big piece of plywood and staple them all, that is one way of getting around the rules. So, although it might be a little hideous, and large, but that is one way of doing it. I would say stick. I mean, so I live so close to 125, as you know, Jeff and I are kind of right off of it. So I know for us, you know, that's where I target. It's a good question. It is tough. You have to pick your favorite candidate for at least your own yard. So, any questions for Mark before we move on? Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate you being on. Thank you.
Sure. I'll stay on.
Bravo for the primary. Nicely done. Came out. That was a short race, and you did really well.
Thank you very much. Sure.
So next up, we've got Timothy and Rebecca. Hey, look at that, right at 7:30, like I promised. If you want to both introduce yourselves and perhaps, you know, give a little intro and talk about your issues, and then how Lee Dems can help. I mean, you both did, well, not you both. Rebecca, you did phenomenal in Lee. So I'm confident that you'll win again, but please obviously keep us posted on what we can do for you.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Thanks for having us. I'll talk briefly and then maybe I'll let Timothy just kind of follow up with stuff we're working on. But yeah, we really appreciate all the support we had in Lee. We had a very exciting election night. The results kind of came in a way that made it a very suspenseful ending on our end, but we really appreciate all the support that we had in Lee, and we had so many good conversations with people throughout the course of the campaign. So thank you to all of you guys. And you know, since the primary, we've already started to get to work helping other campaigns, and we're interested in doing that across the district. So Friday we got included in Congresswoman Annie Custer's Seat at the Table initiative. So we got to join some women across the state to kind of talk about their races and hear, you know, from some of the candidates that we hope to be helping out. Saturday, we kicked off the Biden campaign weekend of action phone bank by introducing Chris Pappas. And then yesterday, yeah, was that only yesterday? Yeah, we did a visibility in Market Square here in Portsmouth for a bunch of different campaigns, including Joan Hamblett, who's in a flotarial district here in Portsmouth. And then last night we joined the New Hampshire Young Democrats to try and create some turnout the vote for young people across the district for other campaigns. So we're really interested in how we can help other campaigns, and you know, we'll be working with Kayla on Dan's, and Mark, hopefully we can work with you as well. We'll be helping Mindy's campaign. We'll be helping Cindy Wormington's campaign, and hopefully some other Senate districts across the state. Hopefully, Amanda, you and I can do something together. It would be a lot of fun. So I'll let Timothy talk about this in more detail, but basically what we're thinking about doing is trying to turn our operation towards some of the more competitive races in the state. And so we want to remain a vehicle for you guys to get involved and to help. And so we'll coordinate with those campaigns, and then we'll sort of try to make similar asks to what we've been making throughout our primary season so that we can keep our volunteers engaged through November. And so I'll let Timothy speak in a little more detail about that. We still are at a high level, but would love to have your help on a few things as we go forward. We're really hoping that, with the legislature and with the EC, that we can really see, some change on renewable energy, on voting rights, on housing. And so we want to be there for the residents of the district, and it's going to take Democrats to do that. So we're really excited for us to help out, and we hope that you guys will help us and we can help you.
Thanks, Rebecca. So also briefly, I wanted to give a shout out to Deb, who excitedly texted us our results on election night from the polling place in Lee. So we're very grateful for Deb. That was a very exciting text to receive. So as Rebecca said, we are turning our attention towards working up the ballot from the state Senate. So a lot of executive council races. We have 3 actually in our district. As Rebecca said, we have districts 2, 3, and 4 all within our state Senate district. So looking forward to helping those candidates, and obviously Chris Pappas and Jeanne Shaheen and Dan Feltes and Joe Biden. So we're all in, focus on the Democratic ticket. And so what that means practically is we have been doing Thursday phone banks for this entire campaign, Thursdays from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We're going to continue doing those Thursday phone banks starting next week. And we're going to choose some different campaigns across the state, important campaigns, whether it be, state Senate candidates who are in crucial frontline districts or possible flip districts. And we're going to make calls for them. And so, we'd love for folks to come out and support us by helping other folks too. And so we're really excited about that. So that's one very tangible thing that you can do. We're also going to continue to have, events with folks up the ticket. And so, we'd love to have people attend those as well. We will give you the information once we have more events scheduled. And then we also just want to be helpful. Like Rebecca said, we really want to be as helpful as possible to all the other campaigns running in Lee. And just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can. So whether that be, Rebecca appearing briefly at an event to get some voters or volunteers excited, or whether that be, the campaign connecting you to someone that we've met with or someone who we know, or passing along an opportunity to our volunteers. We want to be helping other campaigns as much as possible. This fall is going to be all about teamwork and unity to get the job done on November 3rd. So we are super excited to be helping in any way we can. And with that, I will go ahead and put our contact information, both for myself and for Rebecca, in the chat. Let us know if we can help in any way.
Awesome. You mind read being like, put your info in the chat. I will ask the same question I asked Mark. Do you guys have, which I know you do, yard signs?
We sure do. So we'd love to bring more yard signs out to Lee. It sounds like it's tough if you only get one per yard. So maybe you can coordinate with your neighbors and and each pick one that you both like. But yeah, we'd love to bring some out, and maybe we'll drop some by the office. I don't know if you guys are still operating your office. Okay.
No, we don't have the office. No, you'll drop them at my house. Yeah. So I'll coordinate with Timothy and get that and let everybody know when I've got some.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you guys so much.
No problem. Any questions for Rebecca or Timothy? No, you guys are a shoo-in. We're excited. Yay. Okay, so with that then, we go to the very local race. My pal Jeff, what would you like? You want to talk about your campaign, your issues, and what the Lee Dems can do to help you? What's your wish list?
Don't have a wish list. My campaign is a little unusual. It doesn't run from August 1st to November 3rd. It runs from January 1st to December 31st. And that's every year. I see myself as working for my constituents here in Lee, and using the areas of expertise that I have to serve them. So I spent my career working in academic healthcare, and I serve on the Committee on Health and Human Services, and bring to that committee and to a number of commissions things that I've learned over the years. So folks who get up on Neighbor Lee, the Facebook site will find me there often. And my job is to keep my constituents appraised of the risks to their health. And you've read my posts on the 3 viruses that are mosquito borne that we're dealing with now. You have seen some of my posts on COVID on Neighbor Lee, but lots of them have been thrown off because the administrator says that if folks in Lee knew all of that, they would get upset. I think that's absolutely correct, and I think that they ought to be upset that COVID is being extraordinarily mismanaged. And this is a critically important time to have the expertise fed out of the university and into Lee and into New Hampshire. The watchwords of my service to Lee and to New Hampshire are, I work across party lines. I talk to the Republicans, I work with them, and I work really hard to bring them over to our side. And every once in a while, we're effective at doing that. And I feel that that's one of the most important things that I can do. So we're out there. You've met my campaign manager, Sophie. She's a Newfoundland dog. You've also met my campaign assistant, Bryce. And Amanda and I show up Nassau every year. We talk to the 4th graders and try to bring the messages of good government to them and to their families here in Lee. So we're just out there doing what you pay us to do.
Which is true, but do you want the Lee Dems to phone bank, do postcards, share anything from your Facebook page? Is there anything that you might want somebody to help you with?
I want to help the Lee Dems. I want it to go the other way.
Jeff, you have a tight race, my friend. We got to make sure you stay in office. So you got to let us help you a little bit so you can help us later.
Ms. Casper, I have full respect for my opponent, Scott Bugby. He works very hard for the town of Lee. And more often than you can imagine, I'll approach him and say, Scott, what does the town of Lee need for me to do for it in the state legislature? We're on really good terms, and it's fine. We'll run well. It'll be okay.
All right. Well, if you're sure, clearly you know how to get a hold of us.
Yep.
Do you have yard signs that you want sent out, or anything?
I'll be putting signs out. I'll be putting a few signs out, and Sophie and I will be at the polls.
Yes, and we do have to talk about that. We will have to have a totem totem party, and we'll have to talk about how to be at the polls but be there safely. Because I know a lot of people in the primaries were concerned, and we didn't have a lot of presence there. So we just, they were out in Forest and Barrington, and everything was very safe and well done there. And my competitor was at both locations. So we just want to make sure that we can do it safely. So with that, Deb, I will get to your question at the end, if that's okay, because that's a bigger topic. Okay, thank you. And yes, Rebecca, I did get a haircut.
Yeah.
It was about a month ago. So thank you for noticing. I appreciate that. Yeah, it makes me look really good. I love it. I guess that was me. I'm next. But I don't want to wear 2 hats tonight, so I want y'all to meet Adam. He is actually my campaign manager because I am pulled in too many directions. So I have some help this year, which I can't tell you how excited I am to have him. So Adam, do you want to talk about our campaign and what we might want from the Lee Dems?
Yes. So we've been the past week we've been kind of hitting hard on the veto issue with that coming up, but going forward, one of the main things that we're looking forward to is, as has been echoed by a few of the other people, is working with all of the campaigns. I want to make sure that as we're doing phone calls for Amanda's campaign, that I want to have little snippets about some of the other candidates up and down the ticket as well. So that's something I think I definitely could use from all of you. I'll drop my contact info in the chat at the end of talking here, so I'm not doing too much at once. But I'd love if I could get just a couple quick sentences about your campaign, what you're most passionate about, that we can put into our phone script as we're making calls to people, so we can advocate for you as well. So I guess I'm kind of echoing Jeff a bit in that one of the things that we're looking most forward to is not necessarily what the Lee Dems can give to us, but what we can give back to the Lee Dems and the other races in the area, both up and down the ticket. Beyond that, I'm definitely thinking that since I think a big goal of ours is we're in uncertain times with COVID and the pandemic, and things are a bit more different than normal. So I'm definitely looking to see how we can share resources as much as possible, whether with phone banking, sharing stuff from other campaigns on our social media page, vice versa. So really just looking at how we can do this as a collaborative effort to work together is kind of our big goal for the campaign.
Hey, Adam, this is Dean Rubin. Am I muted here?
You're good.
You are on. No, you're good.
Hey, I'm in between two meetings and I got to pop onto this one for a little while, which I'm happy about. I didn't see who your opponent was, Amanda. Is it Joe?
It is Joe. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a oldie but a goodie.
We love him. It's okay. No worries. We're all friendly. So
He seems a lot less around than in the old days.
yeah, in 2018, yeah, he didn't do much. He had some yard signs out. I'm just assuming they didn't want the box to go empty. I would love if he did more this year. But as I have always told him, I'm happy to work with him in Concord, and I think, he's a great person, and we want to work together. So he hasn't taken me up on it, but maybe next year when I win, he'll work with me. So we'll see. No, Joe's a great guy. So, any other questions for Adam or myself?
I don't want to hijack the meeting, but I would. I only have a few minutes that I can stay because I have another meeting, and I would also want to ask what we should do what I should do. I mean, I know one thing I could do to help, and I'm going to do it. But as for joining, should we be joining the combined campaign, or what should we be doing as citizens, as Democrats who want to win?
Give us Bruce Sample.
Yeah.
He's working.
Adam, do you want to answer maybe for Jeff and I, perhaps?
Sure. So for what I think you guys could do is, if you want to drop either your contact information, or I dropped mine in the chat just now, you can take that. Feel free to email me. I'm pulling together a list of volunteers currently of people who have been interested and want to help out with the campaign. So as I'm building that, I'll be communicating with all the people who want to volunteer and get involved on what you can do specifically. It'll probably be some phone banking, putting up yard signs if that's what you're willing to do, such as that. So yeah, so feel free to just reach out and I will add you to our volunteer list.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I will just say selfishly, to get some of the yard signs out of my garage that are slowly starting to grow, I would love to have help on the ground with especially yard signs, because I think it's really important that once the election is over, someone is responsible for pulling them. I don't like to see them, November 4th, 5th, especially if you lost, because that's heartbreaking. So I would love if somebody could kind of play the role of a yard sign coordinator and know where we put our signs and can help put them out and take them back in. So if you have some extra time and want to hang in the car and really get to know Lee, Barrington in my case, if it's possible. I'm still learning most of Barrington, but if you have some availability, that would be a huge help.
I do that without being told. If I still see the signs lingering around on after election day too long, I'll grab them. But if you want to make it
Yes, we
formal,
do.
I'm sure I could volunteer for sign duty.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Dean. Like everyone heard that. He's now our sign coordinator.
All right, I'm ready. I have a bunch of Carol
Awesome.
Shea Porter signs. I don't know what to do with.
Oh, I know, I do too. And Hillary Clinton. So sad. All right, so with that then, Mark Brave is up. This is his first Lead Dems meeting, so everyone give him a round of applause. Yay for being here. Mark, tell us about you, your campaign, your thoughts, concerns, and what can we do to help you?
So I just want to thank you guys for inviting me to this meeting. So my name is Mark Brave. I'm running for Stratford County Sheriff. Obviously, you know, my campaign is based on bridging the gap between the community and law enforcement. Being an African American, I see the other side in regards to the law enforcement side and also the, you know, the being Black side and that racial injustice or whatnot. I've been a victim of that, but it was at a younger age, and as time went on, and you know, I moved to different communities, it changed. So it made me see that different agencies dealt with that differently. So I think that needs to be universal, and that's why we're dealing with some of the issues we're dealing with today in the world, because that's not universal. And different cities, towns, counties deal with law enforcement and enforcing the law differently than other places. So, I mean, you guys, again, I lost the lead, but I did okay. And you know, but I'm happy for the people that came out and voted. But again, I didn't have any signs really up in Lee, so I was thrilled when I got your email, Amanda. Because I'm like, wow, that's great. And now I can make some contacts, and you know, the county's bigger than I thought. And I was like, wait, I totally forgot. Like, I didn't forget about Lee, but you know, I got some signs in Durham, just didn't make it across the border to Lee, which is important. But obviously, I'm learning as I go. So, like I said, you know, my focus, my goal is to ensure the message stays persistent. Because obviously, as we all know, this narrative is played on way too long, and we need to actually come up with something that's tangible and just achievable, and it just doesn't go away. You know, in 6 months from now or 12 months from now, we're talking about another, you know, Black, you know, Hispanic, whatever male just being brutalized by law enforcement. I see the other side too. I have a lot of police friends. They're good people, but there is that small group that should not be getting through the cracks. We just need to figure a way to filter them out and you know, bridge that gap, explain why we're doing what we're doing. Also, I also want to do a shout out to the BLM Seacoast. They're doing an event here in Dover on Saturday. I'll be speaking at it with a bunch of different speakers. You can go on their website. It's basically the pledge for change. A lot of people see this as a demand. Oh, you know, whatever, blah blah. It's more of, hey, I'm committed to this. I'm gonna say I'm gonna do it because a month from now we're holding you to it, or a year from now we're holding to it because you agreed to you know, hire more minorities or involve the community more in conversations. And a lot, like I said, a lot of people see it more as, you know, they're trying to dictate the direction law enforcement goes into, and it's not that. It's more, again, the BLM movement, you know, they're basically changing, or they're basically focusing on their community. So the BLM Seacoast is different than the BLM in Minneapolis. The BLM in Minneapolis is different than the BLM in Florida. there are different issues that they're dealing with in their communities that they're trying to figure out. So a lot of people need to stop basically, categorizing them as a whole and saying they're all against, police and defunding and whatnot. So we don't have a lot of issues here on the Seacoast, but we do have bias-based policing. We do. I've been a victim of it. Other minorities have been a victim of it. Somersworth, I spoke to the Indonesian community. There's over 2,000 of them there. They've been a victim of it. Traffic stops where they're asked for their social security card and stuff like that, where we don't ask for that stuff. But that's just a little taste of what's going on here in the Seacoast that we just want to focus on and make sure it doesn't escalate to the point of Minneapolis or other places. So again, I'll be speaking, a couple other great people will be speaking. You can go on their website, check it out. We'll be at the Henry Law Park this Saturday at 1. So again, what I would like, help with is basically just getting, sharing my page on Facebook, Mark Brave for Sheriff. I'll put it in the link. I have Instagram, Twitter, just getting the message out. Again, I'm here to just be that spearhead for the conversation. I've been in law enforcement for about 12 years now. And I know both sides, but I also know that there's more good than bad, and we just need to focus on the good. So again, I thank you all for inviting me here, but I just help getting the word out, I guess. I don't know what else to say.
Sure. So I know I've seen your yard signs around, so I'm going to say, do you want them in Lee? And if so, perhaps you should swing by my house and drop them off?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll drop a few off.
All
Definitely.
right.
Thank you so much.
Cool. No problem. And then do you want us to help with phone banking, or are you going to send out any postcards or
Yeah, definitely.
do any visibilities?
Yeah, definitely phone banking. As it gets closer to November 3rd, I'll definitely be making stops, in Lee for visibility. The day of election, I plan on spending at least a couple hours there. And just, again, if you guys have any other group, meetings, private groups, small town meetings, I'm happy to come to and speak at. I try to open my schedule up. Sometimes I'm learning that you can't double book yourself because it's kind of tough, but I'm trying to, do it the right way, but I'm open for whatever.
Sure. Awesome. Oh, and other Mark just said he'd like to connect with anybody who's doing visibilities as well. No worries. We will definitely keep you both posted. I would also probably suggest Mark Brave, and this would work with other Mark as well, but letters to the editor.
Okay.
What might be interesting, because we've had the same sheriff for a while now, who I adore, and sad that he is retiring, but it's exciting to have change. Perhaps you might want to, does your website or Facebook page give details of who you are and maybe ways to kind of talk about the differences, and if we're going to maybe do letters to the editor about Black Lives Matter or what's happening in the Stratford County jails, say why you are their best pick. But you're kind of, and I don't mean this offensively in any way, but you're kind of unknown in Lee. So I think it might be helpful to get some bullet points or some just background on you so we can help in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I can definitely, my Facebook page has a lot of information on it, my Instagram, Twitter, but I also plan on doing mailers out in Lee, just because I know I'm unknown there, like the Farmington area also, like just a bunch of little areas that I got to get out to. Again, I'm realizing how big this county is. Just because it's 13 towns doesn't mean it's not, it's tiny. So, but I definitely will take that into consideration. So thank you very much.
Very cool.
We're gonna, if I could, we're gonna try something. We have put up some videos. I'm a photographer in my other part of my life here, and so we have the capabilities of doing some recordings and some videos I did a bunch of that stuff during the congressional campaign as well. So we're gonna try to do issue-based stuff that people can see and share, things that are, basically a minute and a half, and then bring in the chat, bring in the Facebook description, really kind of the language of what we're trying to get across. So we're gonna try it, see how it works. We've had some success already with some of the videos that we put up. We put up one for Labor Day that actually was well received. We put up initially explaining the executive council as well, that has had a number of hits. So we're trying to find the right mix, the right length of things. But it is a powerful tool, and I think, Mark, you'll find, as I have, that when you're trying to get the message across a broad group of communities, it's really a great tool. And we're going to go up with a web page as well that'll have information about specific policy issues as well.
Okay.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark, for sharing. Now make you guys plural. Trying to do my question.
Well, I just wanted to say, we can also make sure that we're posting all that stuff on the Lead Dems page and then sharing that as broadly as possible. I think it just takes a little bit of time to really make sure everyone knows who they're voting for. I think it'll really help.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah.
Definitely. I agree with that. So, not last but least, is that how I say it? We have Spencer on. No, we don't. Where you are? Okay. My gosh, I was like, did you get off now? Okay. So Spencer is going to give us kind of an overview, a bigger picture of what everybody and how we all intertwine. At least I'm hoping. Spencer, if you want to give us an update of what you all are doing and how you're helping candidates and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me, and sorry for my tardiness. I showed up. It's been a hectic week, basically, in the wake of last week's primaries. And as you guys probably know, there are almost 400 candidates still in the mix, running for 400 seats in the New Hampshire House of Representatives. So things are hectic. And so basically, my name's Spencer, and I am a regional campaigns manager at the Committee to Elect House Democrats, which just means that I work kind of one-on-one directly with candidates who need help because as you guys know, you both, Amanda and Jeff, seem to be pretty well endowed with Adam and Sophie as campaign managers. But unfortunately for most reps, the $100 a year is not enough to sustain any sort of really meaningful support system. So the Committee to Elect Democrats has hired me along with 3 other people to sort of act as like liaisons and work hands-on and make sure that each candidate, all 400 of them, are getting as much attention as they need and as much help that they can get to win their races. So if you guys have met Rachel Tomier, she had my position 2 years ago, did a really good job, got an overwhelming majority in the House, which was fantastic. So we're hoping this year to kind of deliver the same results and just hopefully keep chugging on. So I unfortunately haven't gotten the opportunity to meet you, Amanda, and Jeff in person yet or over Zoom, but it's a pleasure. And I'm sure you've received a lot of emails from Rachel and I over the past few months, but some things we've been working on recently are making sure that people who just won their primaries have all the resources going forward. We've been making targeted calling lists, targeted mailing lists, helping out with strategy and just helping out with event planning in general. So that's been great. It's been busy, and fortunately we have access to VAN and a lot of really good data through the NHDP. So that's another really good resource that we have for House candidates. The NHDP just came out a few weeks ago with a really good targeted mailing list that I've been giving out to as many candidates as possible. They collect really good data. They've been getting really up to the date data, and they recently just got a hold of absentee ballot application data. So that's been added into the mailing universe. Things like that I've just been trying to facilitate for candidates as much as possible since the primary. So although I'm exclusively working with House candidates, definitely if any of you are interested in what we're doing there, I can drop my email in the chat. I have like kind of a vast swath of South and Eastern New Hampshire. So at the moment I am a little bit bogged down with stuff. So it's been like hard for me to get quick responses lately, but yeah, just for your awareness, my region is all Stratford, Rockingham, Hillsborough, and a little bit of Merrimack. So yeah, it's been a lot lately. But yeah, in terms of just ways I would like to help, I know that you, Amanda, and Jeff, you have your own campaign manager already, and that's fine. But if there's anything you need, any of this data I was just talking about from the NHDP, I think that could be really good for you guys. Yeah, just any sort of call list. I know you guys mentioned phone banking earlier, something that we've been huge on towards the beginning, but especially now after the primaries for post-primary candidates is trying to get lists of targeted independents, persuadable voters that we think should be made on behalf of the candidates, and also trying to facilitate relations with the coordinated campaign and making sure that if candidates have any volunteers that want to help, that they have access to regional organizers from the coordinated campaign to direct their volunteer base to. And the difference between us and the coordinated campaign in that respect is that some of the targeting that we're trying to do is based on data that we find, like voters that would be best and most influenced by a call from the candidate. So people who are maybe politically indifferent or have just been kind of left out of politics and have been undecided. Those are people who candidates would best, that it would best be for a candidate to call, whereas the coordinated campaign runs get out the vote stuff as opposed to persuasion, and volunteers, I think it'll be really worthwhile to sign up for the coordinated campaign, reach out to regional organizers, and make calls locally on behalf of the House candidates. So hopefully that provides some background as to what I'm doing and hopefully how I can help. So yep, unfortunately my scope is kind of limited to Amanda and Jeff in terms of things that I'm directly concerned with, and Lee, but yeah, feel free to ask any questions or reach out to me if you need anything.
So I'll reach out to you right now. I would love that data. I'm sorry. I know you're buried, but if you could send at least Jeff and I some phone banking and some data, that would be awesome, especially the absentee info. That would help us be able to reach out to people. I would say if you talk to the coordinated campaign, volunteers would be huge. We're always lacking, as is everybody else. I would also ask that perhaps you can send at least me to start with, and I can disperse it. But candidates in the area, I would say like Newmarket, I wouldn't go too far, but like somewhere in Rockingham, Stratford County, who might need some additional assistance and could use some legislators who have been in the House for a little while. I'm sure Jeff and I would be happy to reach out in any way that we could help.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I appreciate that, because some candidates who are new candidates are a little bit unsure of what they're doing right now, and like I'm trying to do as much as I can to help them, but sometimes it's really good for an experienced rep to actually give them hands-on advice. So yeah, that's like been part of my strategy for the past few weeks too, is trying to make sure that people of I don't know, relevant areas can connect, and I think that coordination is such a huge piece of finding success. And yeah, so I would really, really appreciate that if you'd be willing to help there.
No problem. I can't say that I'll be the best cheerleader, but I'm happy to help however I can. So, any questions for Spencer before we move on to our last thing, which, or I guess two things that Deb brought up in the chat.
I just have a quick question about absentee votes. And I know in Lee, we had, what, 50% more absentee, like we were pretty close to the Republicans for who showed up, but then when it came to absentee, we had, double the numbers. Is that something that happened all over New Hampshire? I haven't had a chance to look into yeah, okay. That
yeah, so
looks good for us.
Republicans were at 22,000 and Democrats were at 66.
Okay. It's a good place to be.
It's a good place to be. All right, cool. So, Martin wanted to know about Jim Spillane. He is the gentleman who made news 2 weeks ago. He's a Deerfield legislator, very conservative Republican, has been in the House for a long time. I actually don't sit far from him, and have for two terms now. He had said publicly that those who have Black Lives Matter signs out should have their houses burned. There has been quite a few cases, even just beyond Jim's situation, where a lot of people will come out to their front yards and their signs have been ripped and cut into tiny little pieces. So it's not, unfortunately, just Jim who does this, but specifically to Representative Spillane. We in the House, and I can only speak on the House because we actually talked about it last week in the chairs meeting, we in the House are going to do nothing about it. And for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to say we, but leadership, and I guess I'm lumped into that because of being a chair, have said that they think that Deerfield voters should handle him the way they want. Like, they should either vote him in or not. And we should leave it up to the Deerfield voter. The other issue is that the Attorney General's office has opened an investigation on him to see if he had violated a Civil Rights Act. That investigation has not been, hasn't come to a conclusion yet. So, and to interfere in an investigation is not where the House should be. And just knowing how Republicans have had a difficult time in being in the minority, they would make, if we did anything on the House floor, say tomorrow, during veto day, they would make Representative Spillane a martyr and a representative for the cause, and why all Republicans should be like him. So we don't want to poke the bear and do things that might not be in our best interest, but also not in the best interest of New Hampshire residents. So let the voters of Deerfield speak. It's kind of how we are currently handling it. But what he says and what he does is unacceptable. And even on my Facebook page, I posted something about it, and I'd never talked badly about anyone who's in the House. That was the first time in, 4 years, 5 years, 4. I don't even know where I'm at this point, but I never speak badly about anybody. And what he said was horrible. And when we were sitting on the chairs call, for example, we have quite a few chairs who are of a minority, and they feel scared and threatened, and their signs have been taken and they've been yelled at in the sidewalk, on the streets, and they just don't feel safe. And so what the speaker and our majority leader has said over and over again, that we need to report it. Any situation, it's a hate crime, report it. And so that's just kind of, we're going to play by the rules and follow the law and kind of go from there. Now, if he wins in November, I don't know what that means. I know that there's quite a few great Democrats out there who are trying to ensure that he does not win. So our fingers are crossed. And I don't know, Spencer, if you have Rockingham, you must have Deerfield. So I don't know if you can share the who's running up against Jim in his district, but I honestly don't know very much about that race.
Yeah, so Rockingham, my coverage of Rockingham is a little bit scattered. So Naomi Andrews, she's the chair of Rockingham County Dems, or the executive director, sorry. So I'm kind of working like with candidates in kind of tough districts in Rockingham. So she's actually like most directly hands-on with the candidate running against him. So I'm kind of like, my hands are off in that situation, but I think like you mentioned, they're not really, they're just kind of letting that speak for itself. Like, I don't think they need to even bother running too big of attack campaigns against him. I think the event's out there, it's public, and that's pretty much all that needs to be done at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing. Debs, I don't know if that answers your questions or your thoughts, or Martin's, I suppose, but that's what's happening right now in that particular situation and what House leadership thinks about moving forward. And they just kind of came to that conclusion because we had 9 Republicans who well, 6 of them got disciplined in the House back in, I think it was February, for not attending a sexual harassment training. It was 2 hours of our lives. It's exactly what you hear in any work situation. It wasn't painful. It was just the very basics, and it made the House staff feel better because in the past they've been harassed. So we implemented this as a House rule, and those Republicans who chose not to participate were reprimanded on the House floor. They actually were celebrated by the Republicans. So it's not a good situation. Like I just keep saying, being in the minority is hard, and there are just some people who haven't gotten used to it yet. So Jeff, I don't know if you want to add anything, but that's what I have to say about that.
I think that's very well said. However, I must say that I feel that the Republican leadership has failed the citizens of Deerfield, has failed the citizens of New Hampshire by not disciplining someone who not only is out of step with most of the Republican Party in this state, but who has previously been brought up on a variety of charges, which it would be inappropriate to review here. But he is in many ways a habitual offender against the mores and norms of the people of New Hampshire.
Agreed. And then, Deb, your second question was if we could walk around, I'm assuming people, you mean candidates, or do you mean just random people anyway, just handing out literature, but walking around the Lee yard sale on October 3rd? And the answer is no. We can't even do that at the Lee Fair. If you're a political affiliation, we are not allowed to do any of that. I think that if we bought a table, I don't know if they're, like, I don't know what the situation with the yard sales, but I know with like the Lee Fair, if we bought you can't even, I don't even think if we bought a table, we could do it. Even as the Lee Democratic Party or Lee Democratic Committee, we still can't hand out anything. I think if if Scott, Joe, and I all were at a table and we were playing nicely, which of course we would because we all like each other, but our situation is different than others in the state, right? So, but I think in our situation, if we all sat together at a table handing out literature, or if it's, Jeff and Joe or me and Scott, like if there's a representation of both parties, I believe we could do that because it's fair. But the concern is that the general is you just can't do that. So I'm sure we could ask for an exception if everybody plays nicely and we're all there and everyone was asked to attend. But as far as I know right now, that's not the case.
I don't think that would help anyone what's the point? So
it'd be nice to see all of our smiling faces. I don't know. I love Joe. We're just going to say that. He's got a beautiful smile. So he looks good in the suit. All right. With that, is there anything else that we need to talk about to get ready for our general election? No? Awesome. Well, I hope you're all psyched or as excited as I am. And with that, keep in touch. I will send out, make sure you check your emails and our Facebook page. I will make sure that we send out stuff that people can be doing and participating. And when I get everybody's signs, Dean's already signed off, but I'm going to go drive them all over to his house and have him put them out. So let me know if you need anything, and I'll let you know if the campaigns need anything.
Thank you for your continuing leadership for the Lee Dems. Without you, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone that came on the call.
Someone would have organized it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
really nice. We hope y'all win.
Thank you. And thank you for staying on.
Night all.
Night.